Have you ever noticed that there's no literal elbow strike in the Tai Chi Yang style 108 form, even though elbow strike is one of the fundamental 8 Tai Chi energies? It seems kind of odd, but only if you're thinking about elbow strike in a literal sense, as striking with the elbow. But if you think about it as a fundamental energy, which is represented by the Tai Chi trigram of elbow strike, then you can find elbow strike all over the Tai Chi Yang style 108 form. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly where there are some very important representations of elbow strike. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dr. Todd Martin, creator of the Tai Chi Code. Before beginning the examination of elbow strike within the 108 form, we will begin with a demonstration, picking up at the end of repulse monkey and going through to high pat on horse, leaving off just before the kicking sequence. Before we get started, if you find this video helpful and informative, make sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And please drop me a comment, because this is information you're probably not going to get anywhere else, and I want you to tell me what you think about it. Now let's go through the movement step by step, and I'm going to give some very general instruction to begin with up until I get to fan through back and chop opponent with fist, because I want to get into the elbow strike energy further when I get to those two movements. Most of these movements we've seen earlier in my videos on the Tai Chi 24 form and the earlier versions of these moves in the 108 form. So let's just begin at the end of Slanting Flying. We shift back onto the rear leg and raise the hands and drop into the play the fiddle like movement. So this is the end of raise hands and shoulder strike. This is the play the fiddle motion, and we're going to move into the shoulder strike by doing a small roll back, going into empty stance with a vertical ball carrying position, turn the waist to the left to step out onto the heel, and then now we get into shoulder strike with a sequence of two movements. First is a push coming from the rear hip, and then we rotate the lower abs to turn that push into the shoulder. So at this point, I'm extending my left hip, and I have the upper and lower waist turning to the right. That is the shoulder strike. Now we're going to move into empty stance and perform crane cools its wings, which is a splitting motion. Then we're going to go into brush knee, first by bringing the arms back, passing through empty stance, stepping out on the heel, and then brush knee, which is a pushing action. Now we're going to transition to pick up needles at C-bottom by turning back, and I'm extending my left hip, turning the upper and lower waist to the right to begin the motion. Then I flex the left hip to bring myself into this final preparatory position, and then I go into needles at C-bottom by extending the left hip. That's the extension of the left hip. I'm going to turn my upper waist to the left, and I'm going to turn my lower abs to the right. And that's what's producing this motion here of pick up needles at C-bottom, which is a pluck action. Then I'm going to rise out by flexing my left hip and turning the upper and lower waist to the right. That brings me to this position. This is actually an elbow strike action itself. Elbow strike being flexion of the hip and the upper and lower torso turn away from the flexing hip. That is the fundamental energy in the Tai Chi code that is representing the trigram of elbow strike energy. And so that is an elbow strike here, and then we're going to see it a few more times coming up. We're going to step out onto the heel, and then this is going to be an elbow strike in the reverse direction, doing fan through back. I have a flexed right hip as the upper and lower waist turn to the left, producing that motion. Now, I have read some people describe the fan through back as a split motion, but if we were to use split, that is the action that would occur, because my upper waist is turning to the right, creating some more rotation. When we do fan through back, we're going to have a straight forward position because both the upper and lower waist are turning to the left, while the right hip flexes, which creates a pulling action towards the right, resulting in a direct forward movement. So I have a flexed right hip and upper and lower waist turning to the left. So check that position for yourself. Now we're going to turn into chop opponent with fist. This is going to be a pluck action. Extension of the left hip. I'm going to turn the upper waist to the left and lower abs to the right. This is different than a movement we'll see in the 40 form called white snake spits out its tongue, because we're creating the fist, and that fist action is created by the pluck energy of turning the upper waist against the extending hip. So as I turn the upper waist against the extending hip, it moves the hand into the fist position. Now we're going to shift back, which is actually a split action, turning my upper waist to the right, rooting my left leg, flexing my right hip. And then we complete the step out by turning the upper waist to the left, which releases the leg. And now again, I am in elbow strike. I have a flexed right hip, upper and lower waist turning to the left. Now I'm going to elbow strike in the opposite direction, flexing the left hip, turning the upper and lower waist to the right. Now this small motion is ward off, and then we're going to do another elbow strike, flexing the left hip and turning the upper and lower waist to the right. That is the chopping with the fist, and that is an elbow strike action. We turn this elbow strike action into a shoulder strike action, the same as we see at the middle of Grasp the Sparrow's Tail, by extending the left hip, and that creates this motion. So I have now the upper and lower waist turning to the right, and I'm going to flex the right hip as I continue to turn into it, and that creates the rollback action. And then we move into step forward and parry punch by turning the upper and lower waist to the left, bringing us into empty stance. And then we follow along with step forward and parry punch. I'm not going to go through the other movements because we've done cloud hands and grasp the sparrow's tail in my previous videos. So I wanted to just focus in on the fan through back and the chop opponent with fist. One bonus elbow strike hidden in the form is slanting flying, the movement that opened the demonstration. While the final position looks like parting the wild horse's mane, it is not. Parting the wild horse's mane ends with the energy of split. The final movement in slanting flying is elbow strike, with a flexing left hip and counterclockwise waist rotation. The difference can be verified with two quick tests. Following slanting flying, you would not be able to perform the pivot and advancing step that follows parting the wild horse's mane, indicating you are in a different position. Likewise, following parting the wild horse's mane, you would not be able to shift back into raise hands and shoulder strike, also indicating you are in a different starting position. I hope you enjoyed the video. Click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment and let me know what you think. That is very important. And I will see you in the next one.